Our next speaker comes from the College of Arts and Architecture. So Sepida, I've had the pleasure of meeting through Lisa, who runs the Hamer Center for Community Design, and has really been a key partner in the Institute in growing not only what we are doing, but the impact we can have in the world around us. So their project focused on developing sustainable and adaptive off-grid communities. So I'll pass the mic over, and please help me welcome Sepida.
Hello, my name is Seb. I'm a postdoctoral scholar in the Department of Architecture. I work with Professor Lisa Ulu and Professor Rahman Azari. I'm very excited to be here today. We have an interdisciplinary team. We're working with Seth, Greg, and we actually thought about the idea of maybe integrating architecture with hybrid renewable energy systems will help to make off-grid building design more viable and more interesting for the communities. So this is what's really inspired us, and this is what this presentation is all about. Communities, or rather residents, have so many reasons to go off-grid. Some people do it for freedom. Some people want to have really freedom from the utility companies. Some do it for environmental reasons. Some people do it for economic inspirations. And then some people simply seek inspiration and creativity. But then there are also communities in the United States that are considered remote. And they're specifically prone to natural hazards, and for those communities the concept of off-grid building design is a little bit different because it's really meaningful for those communities. So this presentation is specifically focused on those challenges. What we are really inspiring to do in this presentation is to turn those challenges into innovation. So we have those remote communities in the United States. They are relying on diesel generators, which are very expensive. They have their own environmental and economic challenges, and then they can be prone to disasters. Also, for imported energy, it's very costly. And so the way we see it is that maybe with hybrid renewable energy systems for those communities, the whole thing can become really interesting and economically viable, and then resistant towards those natural hazards as well. Also, we can design communities through architecture and modular and scalable design that the energy cost for the hybrid renewable energy system will be less because buildings will be more energy efficient, the energy demand will be less, and so the hybrid renewable energy system will therefore be smaller. We have done our literature review at 3 different areas of microgrid and renewable energy systems, off-grid building design, and really hybrid renewable energy systems, and then their relationship with the community that we are designing for. Obviously, the policies and the regulations on microgrid and renewable energy systems are much more than on off-grid. Still, we can find information on off-grid policies, but it's mostly through utility commissions for each state. It's less comprehensive, I will say. Also, for hybrid renewable energy systems for each community, we looked at the design of the hybrid systems, the size of the community, the energy demand, the components of the system, and these really helped us to design the system that we wanted for our community. Yes, there are microgrid and off-grid communities currently in the United States. As an example, Ithaca in New York. This community was built at 3 different stages, 1997, 2006, and 2015. Yes, the buildings are energy efficient, highly insulated material, and then there are 50 kilowatt area of PVs on the east side of the site. There are strategies such as really certifying them into LEED and passive house to make the energy demand of those communities really low to be able to address them with clean technologies. How we chose the communities that we decided to study. So there is a map of remote communities in the United States, and as you can see, this is not a small issue. There are so many communities in the United States that are considered frontier and remote, and this is level 4, which means that they are actually really remote compared to level 1 to 3. And so comparing this map with the map of that was presented as communities that have partnered with DOE and national labs to go towards resilient technologies, we see that, yeah, there are lots of obviously overlap, but then two communities really caught our attention. First was Alaska. Alaska has the highest expenditure per capita and also highest consumption per capita in the United States, and also Hawaii, which has the highest electricity rate in America compared to all states. So these two communities, not only they are extremely remote, and then the cost of importing fuel will be extremely high, but then also because of the harsh climate, of the harsh winter climate, and also the high cost of electricity for those communities, the concept of off-grid building design would be super meaningful. Yes, you can see Wainwright in Alaska. This community is currently run on diesel generators, and we selected this community. Of that community, we selected 32 homes. It would be really manageable for the start. And you can see the existing conditions of the home are not really great. Also, we conducted the same selection of the community for Hawaii. You can see the same size, really 32 homes in Hawaii, but very different climate, obviously. How we designed a hybrid renewable energy system for those communities. First, we need the energy demand, hourly energy demand of those two communities, but then also we need the resources such as source and wind for those communities. As you can see, the wind potential for those communities are pretty much the same. For Alaska during the winter will be slightly higher, and then for Hawaii during the summer will be slightly higher. For sun, obviously, the Hawaii has much more potential. The components that we want to consider, the list really can be huge, but then this is the items that we have considered, this optimization setup and the economic aspects, and obviously we can get the results on a wide variety of the design, generation, cost, project economics, and system. With OMI, which is a software for urban modeling interface, we designed, we generated the hourly energy demand of our community. It gives us the total energy demand for each month, but then hourly to be considered as the input for Homer software. We selected the buildings, site boundary, streets, window wall ratio, configurations, materials, and so on to be considered for the software. And by considering the schedule, the zoning, and so on, we can get the hourly energy demand. We conducted the same thing for Hawaii. So now we have the hourly energy demand for both communities. And then what we did, we compared our data with the data on REX data set, which is the actual building data set, to make sure that our data is valid, which was very close. So as you can see on the right, the normalized energy consumption compared for this community compared to what is presented by REX is very similar. Also, we see that the energy demand of these two communities are significantly different, which can be attributed to their climate and how climatic conditions are different in these two states. And then it really helped us to design our Homer, rather a hybrid renewable energy system. We have our design. So this is among all the scenarios that we have designed. We tested so many scenarios. This is among 6-7 scenarios. And here you can see scenario 2, and it's compared with the base case, which is a generator, converter, and a battery. I'm not going to go into the details of the system design, but you can see we have wind turbines, generators, the PVs, the batteries, the converter, the amount of the generation for each category, and then obviously the costs. I want you to pay attention to net present cost, which is the total cost, including the capitalized cost, the operating cost, the cost of the fuel for the whole 25 years of the system lifetime. So comparing the net present cost of this system with the base case scenario, you can see the net present cost is 2.9 compared to 6.7, which is approximately 1/3 of it. And then the levelized cost of energy, which can be compared with the electricity rate for Alaska, is significantly lower than the levelized cost of energy based on a diesel generator. Also, Alaska residential rate is 24, but we have 17.8 here. So we are seeing that we're getting very good results economically, not only in comparison with the rate that is already presented to Alaska, but also to the rate that a diesel generator will produce, which is the case currently in Wainwright, Alaska. Also, our system has 73.4% of renewable fraction. We tested scenarios of 100% renewable fraction, but economically they were not viable, so we decided to go with a more reasonable scenario. We conducted the same analysis for Hawaii, and as you can see, even in Hawaii, the net present cost can be significantly lower, especially because the energy demand of that community is lower. So it's even less than 1 million, and kind of 1/4 of the base case, which is just the generator. Also, the amount of the generation for both scenarios are significantly more than what is required, and especially because Homer usually overestimates due to the uncertainties related to the renewable clean productions. For the same, the renewable fraction is pretty much the same for this scenario as well, and the levelized cost of energy is approximately half of what is the residential rate in Hawaii, which is amazing. So we have 21 compared to approximately 40. So for the adoption of off-grid communities, there are so many variables that are important, such as the system reliability, which we achieved through the amount of the generation that we need, economic performance, the policy and regulatory, which is actually happening already in these two communities, community acceptance. We have selected communities that are already working with DOE and national labs, so that will be fine, and environmental and geographical conditions, and really the status of existing energy infrastructure. Looking at this graph, you can really see that the net electricity generation for those two communities are mostly based on petroleum, and we are changing it into clean energy technologies. Really, what is next will be, we are interested to optimize building design to reduce the energy demand of those communities in the first place, to design smaller hybrid renewable energy systems and be more economically viable, which is the goal. And the next stage, we're really interested to see how it can be integrated with a broader framework of energy, a broader real estate development, to make it really interesting, not only for remote communities, but any community that want to go off the grid and be free from the utility companies. Also, the innovation and creativity at the individual scale of off-grid building design is amazing. There are amazing individual buildings that are off the grid. So much creativity and innovation has been built into them, and we're really striving to bring that innovation and creativity into a larger scale. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I was impressed by the payback. The payback period, less than 2 years for that capital investment. That is incredible.
Yes.
In our business, in the real estate business, that's a tremendous payback.
Yes, and I just need to point out that the payback period, the way that is calculated in Homer software, is a little bit different than the normal formula. So in Homer, it's actually compared with the base case. So if we go with our system rather than the base case, we can pay back that cost or the initial cost in 2 years, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
So, there's currently a lot of changes in the prices of batteries and solar and stuff like that. Like we've seen, battery prices, they used to be over like $500 a kilowatt hour. Now, they're down to like 50 in some weird cases. Is there a way for your models to like have these real-time costs put in? So say in a couple of years when everything's totally different yet again, can you re-optimize, pretty quickly based on whatever the current prices are?
Yes, that's a very good point. And yes, I actually inserted the data, or rather the cost, based on my latest search, which was last week, really. So yes, for example, I changed the price of the wind turbines because that was not really what the current market is has it as a current price. So yes, that is definitely possible. You can change the operating costs, the fuel costs, the cost of the batteries, and so on. And I think it's a great potential of the software.
Sure. Thank you.